Welcome to the podcast. We do recover with Jared Miller, your host.
And I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, your co-host.
This is a podcast about recovery from addiction.
We want to talk about what successful recovery can look like.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
Another beautiful day in sunny St. George, Utah. You're listening to We Do Recover with Jared Miller. Today on episode 63, we have Amber Bride coming on. Check this out. Amber went from being homeless at Switch Point to now today in her recovery, she works for The Point at Switch Point.
Yes.
So we're going to get to Amber's story. Before that, this is the Christmas edition. What's up with the black Santa hat?
Bah humbug.
Oh, you're going to be that guy, huh?
No. That's the only hat I could find.
Right on. Well,
Christmas hat I had.
I'm your host, Jared Miller, substance abuse counselor.
I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, your co-host, and I am board certified in addiction medicine.
And our guest, Amber Bride.
Yes, Amber Bride, not McBride.
That's right. I got the last name wrong on the promo.
Did you say McBride on the promo?
I did. I know. And I made the reservation at the Hilton under McBride, too.
This is the guy. He's really good at a lot of stuff. Names, not one of
them. Not the greatest. Hey, look at that. Beautiful.
Whoa!
So festive.
Look how festive it is in here. If you're watching on the feed, we just got more festive all of a sudden. Well, that might wake me right up because I had envisioned a show that's going to start out real slow and then fizzle out altogether.
All right. Well, let's get after it. You want to take us through?
What are we doing?
Let's check in.
Are we doing a show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Episode
it's
63.
a podcast.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I just drove in. I'm just getting my bearings about me, and so we'll start our podcast, which starts with new and goods. Jared,
new and good.
What is new and good in the world of Jared Miller?
You know, this time of the year, I'm. What's new and good for me is I'm just excited that I am all the way ready for Christmas. I have all my gifts prepared. They're all wrapped. They're all under the tree. I got all my boxes checked. That's what's new, and that's what's good in my world.
I don't see my gift here.
Yeah, it's not. It's in the mail. You know,
it'll be in the mail after Christmas too.
But hey, what's new and good with you?
I have none of my Christmas done, but you're shocked by that, I'm sure. Everything you know about me. Guess when I shop?
Last minute.
I shop Christmas Eve, not New Year's Eve. That's a little late, but
it wouldn't surprise me if it was New Year's Eve.
But I'm an awesome Christmas Eve shopper.
An hour before the store closes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm awesome because then I feel guilty and I just buy everything, so it all works out for everybody. What do I have new and good? I saw my brother last night. He's from Arizona. He was in town. My mother is dying. That's not new and good, and it's sad and devastating and difficult, and I'll be all right, but
that's hard.
It's coming. We both went over and saw my mom last night. It's interesting. She was a little. She's dying. I mean, she's really dying. I'm not going to break out and cry about this or anything, but she's dying, and sometimes you go over and visit, and it doesn't even look like she knew you were there.
Yeah.
But last night she rallied. Like she was we had a little conversation. We talked about the football game that was on last night, and. So that was new and good. I got to spend a little time with my mom last night, so I'm going to take that as my new and good today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mr. Donovan in the corner. What is new and good in the world of
fine.
Sean?
Everything's great.
You got
Have you sold a lot yet?
And anything I talk about will be like scrutinized by one side or the other.
Oh, that's all we do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you. So
we're really good at that.
We told Mom and Dad we're going to go to San Jose to see the grandparents. No big deal. And they wrote back and said, cool, as long as you guys are both vaccinated. Me and wife. So one of us has used our freedom to get the vaccine. And one of us has chosen not to get the vaccine.
One of us doesn't feel very good right now.
And I got the booster yesterday, so I'm a little bleh.
Hey, I
haven't felt like this for years.
I have some interesting news. I have 3 vaccines in my car that I could give to your wife. I really do have 3
Man, that's
vaccines.
like the worst pickup line, dude. That's creepy. Hey, you want to come back to my car? I got some vaccines in the back. Hey. So
you'd be surprised the women you pick up with that kind of pickup line. They usually got.
I got birth control. I got Plan B. Come on, hey!
They usually got stuff running out of orifices, but whatever. I know I said it. I'm sorry.
This has become your.
This is episode 63.
Current and weird, not my new and good. So you just run with that.
Yep. Amber, in your world, what's new and good?
in my world, new and good, today is being here. All of my Christmas is done. We're going to be a family all together, which, it's been a long time since that happened. So I'm celebrating that moment today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, that's way cool. Well, sweet.
Shall we talk about what's old and bad?
No. The point of the new and goods is to kind of pump us up, you know what I mean? Get warmed up, some positive psychology. But
I want to talk about old and bad.
He's the bad Santa today, as you can tell with the black Christmas hat on.
What I want to talk about is Amber. I want to talk about Amber Bride, really. I don't really know you. Like, I know you from Facebook. Like, I have a vague idea of kind of some of the things that you like in life and enjoy, but I don't know you very well. So let's start right here. Okay. Just tell me who you are. Tell me what your life is a little bit today.
Today.
Yeah. Just introduce yourselves to those of us that don't know you.
Today, I am someone in long-term recovery. Almost have 3 years.
Congratulations.
I have 3 kids, 20, 19, 17.
The heck just happened?
I don't think they're kids anymore, Amber.
How old
I
are
think they're
you?
adults.
I'm 40.
What?
Just turned 40, okay?
I wouldn't have guessed 40.
I wouldn't have either.
Processing that. So.
She's like, I don't want to talk about that. It's a sensitive
All
subject.
right, let's move on. Let's move on past the 40.
I just wouldn't have pictured you as somebody with kids that age.
Yeah, I get that a lot. So
No, that's good.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, where do your kids live?
Up north with me.
Where do you live?
In Sandy, Utah. So
You do?
Yeah.
Shit, I work in Sandy.
Yeah, I went up there for treatment and decided to
Where'd
stay.
you go to treatment?
Annie's house.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you like Annie's house?
I loved it.
What'd you love about it?
I love that it was all women's, and also that it removed me from where I was at. So I could focus on myself, and really get a foundation of what that looked like.
Did you know something about Annie's house?
Yeah, she knew a lot about Annie's house.
It is
get more specific.
One of the locations of our sponsor. Episode 63 is brought to you by Steps Recovery Center.
Who's in charge of this episode?
They are ready to help when you're ready to contact them. You can contact them at 801-800-8142. But a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that Annie's house is a location. Yeah. It's a Steps Recovery Center's location. It's just more specialized. It was all women's when you were there?
Yeah.
Is it not now?
No.
It's more of mental health now. Like they do a little bit of the SUD, the substance use disorder stuff, but it's also predominantly the mental health.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it changed my life, right? Making that decision and seeing the process through, right? Treatment, day treatment, IOP.
And we're going to get back to that point in the story.
I have a house, I have a car, like all these things that I never thought I would. Oh. I love my job. I have an amazing job at the point. I do a lot of service work. I stay in the middle of the herd. I'm very, I don't really plan ahead because, that's where we get in trouble. Let's see.
Go ahead. Keep going. You're good.
Yeah, so I am all about my, recovery and meeting people where they're at. I think it's important to see people where they're at, spread hope.
That's what you're doing on this podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on. Share a message of, hope and inspiration, strength. Well, I'm confusing it. Sorry.
What are you confused about?
Are you okay today, dude?
I'm actually a little up here today.
Are you?
Yeah. You can run with your stuff for a second.
Okay.
Totally cool.
Well, let's get rock and rolling
right.
about your journey, Amber, into recovery. So,
should we scratch out the mick on her so you don't say it again?
Yeah, it does. I know. It's terrible. Right. So talk to me a little bit about childhood. What did childhood look like? Just a little kind of glimpse, little synopsis.
So parents left me when I was 4. They were addicts.
So it's generational in your family.
Wait. Okay, now I woke up.
Okay.
Your parents left you at 4.
Yes.
What does that mean?
they asked my grandma to babysit so they could go get a job, and then didn't come back.
Never came home.
Wow. That's
You know.
wild. No, I don't know. That's wild.
Yeah. I'm telling you, she's got a story.
Okay.
She has a
Yeah.
story.
Let's keep going. So apparently you're now living with your grandparents by the age of 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Grandma's stay was, on one hand, very grateful for the fact that I experienced a lot of things that most adults hadn't, right? She had lots of money, but that also came with the prestige of status quo, fitting the box, the mold. When I was 12, she decided that she no longer wanted to raise me. So then that started my journey to group homes, foster homes, till I was 17.
Whoa, hold on. I'm gonna be the one to pull the reins back.
you
Okay.
can pull it, yeah.
So when you say fit the mold, check the boxes, with Grandma, was there a little bit of unrealistic expectations? That's kind of what I hear.
Yeah. It was.
Was it a beat the Jones mentality? Talk to me a little bit about how did you feel you had to be or show up to be good enough to hit the mark?
To hit the mark with Grandma, it was you needed to be a certain size, right? The world only accepts people that fall in the category of a size 0 to a size 2.
Oh, okay.
Anything outside of that is just not acceptable. You know, the world won't accept you. I did private school and dance and piano and art and, drama and, the list.
I'm a fat kid. Grandma would have hated me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I'm gone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, Grandma.
yeah. So, it was just the constant needing to be the best, right? Needing to be the best, fit the mold, do all of the things, and then still not showing up, right? It still was never enough. And then, the older I got, the more I kind of pushed back, like, well, who are my parents and why does it look like this? And
Started asking uncomfortable questions. So at 13, you go to a foster home?
So it was 12.
12, okay.
It was more of like a family relative that, was
So an
paid.
extended family.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had a contract and they were paid to take care of me and to follow the, check
Who
the mark.
paid? Grandma? Okay.
Yeah.
So Grandma
So-
got tired of her babysitting gig, her 8-year-long babysitting gig.
And then decided that she was going to pay someone else to handle things the way that she wanted them handled, but with, hands off. So it wasn't her doing it.
So a lot of instability growing up.
Yeah.
A lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, a lot of abandonment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely.
Now, your parents aren't there, and then your grandparents aren't there, basically. That's got to feel like nobody wants me.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Kind of, started that cycle of just I'm not worth it.
Right.
If the people that are supposed to be there aren't there, then what do I do? How do I make this work so that people will stay?
Yeah. So when we look, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, right? Because when we look at this today as adults, we realize your parents made a gigantic mistake and your grandparents made a gigantic mistake. But as a child, it's all, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, how can I be better to have people want me to stay around?
Do you
But
feel like
that's
you
just not-
internalized it like that?
Oh, yeah.
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 Dr. Sellers is a pretty smart cat,
Yeah.
isn't he?
That's just, right? That's tough for a kid because they take that all on themselves. Like, I'm doing something wrong. Your parents did something dramatically wrong. And I'm not here to knock on your parents.
No.
We don't know I don't know the background of them, and we don't know what the
Yeah.
struggles they had. But that was dramatically wrong for you. And then your grandparents sold you.
Yeah.
Man, and I'm laughing, and it's not funny at all. But that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
Did you know that at the time?
And that's like, holy mackerel, I must be
No.
faulty.
When I look back now, right, I'm like, oh, that was wrong, right?
jacked up.
If I would have known what I know today,
Yeah.
I maybe
for
would have
sure.
made more noise,
Sure.
But internalizing it, right? So every time it was like I was getting moved, it was, okay, what do I need to do
So that
to
didn't happen again.
fix this,
Yeah.
right? And I carried that for, I think up until probably I was 37.
Or 40.
You know?
Or 40.
Yeah. I mean,
it's probably still somewhat in there.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
probably worked through a bunch of it.
It's one of those things I can see today, right? Like I'm like, oh, you're kind of like, no, we don't live like that anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have to live that way, you know.
So you know what I think is
good attitude.
You know what really interests me about Amber is she went through such a hard childhood, and yet I know a little bit about Amber, right? And a lot of people come on here and they start using at age 12, age 14, right? We've had some pretty young people when they first start using. Amber, when did you first start using?
34.
34. Despite all of that background, she didn't start using until 34.
What just happened?
And what were the conditions around that?
Because I want to use based on the fact I wanted to start using at age 4 in her story.
Right.
Like I want to use now because of what happened to her at age 4. That's crazy.
So talk to me about that.
How'd you get that? Yeah.
So when I was about, I want to say 28, 29, I had a back injury, and you know, good old doctors.
Hey, you know me.
I mean, you know.
You know me. I don't always side with the doctors in this whole thing.
Yeah.
I know.
We're to blame for a big chunk of it. No question.
You know, prescribed me pain pills, and from the jump, I mean, it was morphine and oxycodone, and you know, and I kind of lost like who I was, right? Because nobody could tell me what was wrong with it. I'm taking these pain pills as prescribed, and then, you know, I didn't think anything of it. Sure. I was helping my pain so I could take care of my kids, and I knew I didn't want to have back surgery, so that was the solution for the time until, you know, it wasn't.
What happened to you? What happened to your back? What was the injury?
So one day I woke up and I just couldn't stand up.
Really? There wasn't you didn't fall off a ladder, you didn't nothing like that.
And then when I went into the doctor, they were like, "Wait a minute. What do you mean?" You know, and they're like, "Oh, you've got I have scoliosis and I've got herniating bulging discs. My vertebrae are splintered from, I guess, rubbing for so long together." So
it was stuff internally. You didn't have an accident, but you had some internal scoliosis and stuff like that going on. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. You said it worked until it didn't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to progress us through this thing.
Yeah, you're good.
So talk to me about, what does that mean? What does that look like? It worked until it didn't.
I mean, husband left.
Ooh, that ain't working.
He took my youngest son, and then my 2 oldest kids' dad came and got them because, you know, I was struggling. And so then I'm in my house without my kids for the first time in my whole life, right? And I couldn't shut the feelings off. I couldn't anything. I had been selling my scripts to afford to go to the doctor, and then I was sick, and
abandonment all over again.
Yeah. And I had a friend that was like, "Well, this will help so you're not sick," and you know, I was hooked. It was the missing piece for me, right?
What was it that he
Heroin.
offered you? Oh, okay. So you were doing prescription pain meds.
Yeah.
And then you ran out.
Yep.
Okay.
And the
quote unquote friend
Yes.
steps in.
Yeah.
This will make everything better.
Yep.
Beautiful.
The biggest lie we tell ourselves. Yep.
And for a minute it did, right? I mean, it silenced my head, it silenced the emotions, and I was like, "Oh, this is the missing piece." You know? I've been like fighting for so long to survive life and do the right thing, and this is where it got me. And then in my, you know, addiction, I got super skinny, and everybody wanted me, and everybody wanted to be my friend, and I had money, and I had status. So then Grandma's voice, right, is like,
I heard Grandma too, right there.
yeah. And I was like, oh, she was right.
Right.
This is how the world works. Right. So I've got Grandma's voice, I've got the addiction, both just piling. Like, this is where you're supposed to be. Until I got locked up right before Christmas.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
What were the circumstances around that?
I was driving with some very known people in this town, and they had warrants.
Oh.
Yeah. So
you're from St. George. You live up north now, but
Yeah.
St. George is home. It was your childhood stomping grounds. Cool. Way
yeah.
cool.
So, you know, get arrested right before Christmas, and I'm like, wait, no, this is not working for me, And
What'd you get charged with?
possession.
Okay. You got pulled over basically because you were with some people that the cops
Yeah.
were basically after, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I had my
You had
personal.
some on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I get my possession charged. I'm like, Christmas, I've never missed Christmas. How am I going to explain this to my kids? The clink of the doors. I'm like, oh, this is real. And I don't like it. Like,
How old are you at that point?
So, let's see, 2014, 35? 34, yeah.
Okay.
So my husband was able to bail me out. I call him, right? We weren't together at the time, but he was the one person I was like, get me out.
Right.
Crying, sobbing. It's those jailhouse calls, like, everything's going to be different. You were right. And, he bails me out. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to do things different.
You were cured. Jail cured everything, right?
Cured it. Like, no.
You never went back, never touched it again.
Always does.
I mean.
Oh, dang it. That does. Oh, okay.
We should never send addicts to treatment because jail works every
time. The first time, every time.
Right? So, my story's not unique in the sense of the dark places, right? Just spiraled out of control. Couldn't grip it. Kept telling myself the lie. Homeless, 4 times,
4 different times.
Yeah. One of those times actually was in recovery, though, so we'll touch on that.
In part 2.
Part 2, right?
So did you and your husband try to work things out when he bailed you out, or were you like, hey, thanks, peace, I'm out?
No, so we did. I think a lot of it was my own insecurities, right? It was comfortable, and he showed up. And so, I don't want to let him go. Right?
Well, at that point, you'll take anybody that'll show up, right?
So, we hung on to that, and our addiction, the craziness.
Was he using it at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're using together, homeless together, and then, a couple more jail sentences, get diagnosed with cancer, get out, have surgery.
Do we just get to do that?
No, pump the brakes on
Is that what we
ourselves.
do? We say, diagnosed with cancer. Okay, and then the next thing?
Yeah.
No.
What happened
What?
with that?
So, no new charges, just violations, right? So I was very, very bad at probation.
Wait. Cancer.
Yeah. So I go to jail and I get diagnosed in jail with cancer.
What was the cancer?
It's the one in your gland.
Parotid gland?
Yeah.
What'd they do?
So they biopsied it in jail.
Okay.
Came back. You've got cancer.
Okay.
In the horseshoe. I'm like, what just happened? Kind of like what just happened with you two.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And then they ended up letting me out for my surgery because the jail was not flipping the bill for that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, we're not doing this.
We're not paying that.
We're not paying that. Get out, have my surgery, and then I'm homeless, right? Leaving the hospital, and
Do you think that fueled once you got out? Did that fear and that anxiety? And because I could imagine, listen, if Dr. Sellers tells me today that I'm diagnosed with cancer, there's going to be a lot of fear. There's going to be a lot of anxiety. Like, do you think that contributed to why you lapsed when you got out?
So I didn't lapse right away, right? I mean, I had a little moment with God, and I was like, please get me through this,
Did you get pain pills after your surgery?
So I didn't come home with them.
You had some in the hospital.
I had some in the hospital. I didn't come home with any. I made it about 4 months. I just worked a lot, right? I was like, I'm just going to stay busy. I have my kids in my life now. Like, I am, made it through surgery. Things are good.
If I can only white knuckle it this whole time.
Yeah. And then it was just the pressure of everything, right? I mean, it wasn't working. White knuckling wasn't working, and I needed it to stop. Being homeless and trying to save face is not a fun task.
Yeah, I bet.
And that led me to my overdose. And it was probably the scariest moment of my life. It was, public bathroom. It's a blizzard in St. George. I'm living out of my car. And so then I go to jail, and that's where I got introduced to treatment.
All right. Well, guess what? We're about out of time in this first segment, but that was quite a segment. So join us back in just a few minutes after a word from our sponsor, and we will get to recovery and that sort of stuff.
See you guys after this little break.
You are listening to We Do Recover with Jared Miller and co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. We'll be right back after this short break with more of We Do Recover with Jared Miller, sponsored by Steps Recovery Center and the Hilton Garden Inn.
Hi everybody, I'm Shalee. I'm one of the clinical directors at Steps Recovery Center. At Steps, we really want to focus on the individual and not just the person in addiction. We want to have the ability to help from the time you enter and till the time you finish, whether you need healing from trauma or family issues and concerns. We got you covered from the start of your journey to the end of your journey. We're just here to help when you're ready for us to help you.
We welcome you back to We Do Recover with Jared Miller, co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn. And now with part 2 of our podcast, Jared Miller and Dr. Terry Sellers.
Thank you, Shalee Webb, from that beautiful message from Steps Recovery Centers. We are back. Episode 63 is underway. We got Amber Bride, not McBride, Amber Bride here in the house with us. She has walked us through some childhood stuff that she went through. A whole lot there in part 1, man. So, some arrests, some probation violations, found out she got cancer while she was in jail. They released her. She had an overdose. Whew.
Yeah.
Man, you're lighting it up.
That was all about 15 minutes. Right?
Yeah, that's...
I got cancer. I overdosed. My parents gave me away.
So
it isn't really matter-of-fact stuff.
Amber she is a survivor. She is a soldier. She has gone through some serious stuff. And listen, this is what it's all about. This is why I love bringing people on to share their stories. There's so much more behind just the addiction. Like, I never knew about the childhood stuff and the cancer stuff. And I mean, it's some deep stuff.
Yeah. Hey, before we get moving on, though, part 2 of episode number 63 of We Do Recover with Jared Miller is sponsored by the Hilton Garden Inn. Did you stay at the Hilton Garden Inn last night, or are you staying there tonight?
Tonight.
Okay, tonight. No, the Hilton Garden Inn's beautiful. They have great amenities. Pool's lovely. I love it. They take really good care of us. If you or your loved ones ever are traveling through southern Utah, specifically St. George, just give them a little Google search. Type in Hilton Garden Inn, and they will show you a really good time because they take really good care of our people. They take really good care of all of their customers. Super nice, and the amenities are great. So give them a shot.
Did you know that organization that sponsors us, so it's the Hilton, but they own a number of hotels.
Right.
They bought out the Fairfield Inn, remodeled it, and reopened it. Chris was just on ABC4 News. They did a little exclusive about it, about coming down here for the warm weather when it's cold up north, and they've done a beautiful job at the Fairfield Inn as well.
So so our legit sponsor is the Hilton Garden Inn, but it's owned by a group, an
organization.
They own a few hotels.
Safari is the name of the group.
Yeah, give them all a shot, but for sure give Hilton Garden Inn a shot. So
I like the Hilton.
Yeah,
so nice.
They're good to us. Okay, so I just want to point that one thing out that we just yapped about for a second. It's like, this is funny because when these things happen to you, they become sort of part of your life, and they almost become really matter of fact. But you just fly over things like cancer and parents leaving, and man, this is all real significant traumatic stuff for people, right? I mean, so it's easy and you find me chuckling sometimes here at it. It's traumatic. These are difficult things.
Yeah.
And so let's keep moving on. You, where were we here exactly? You overdosed.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I was living out of my car.
Okay.
It was 2019. St. George was experiencing a blizzard.
Oh, my
gosh.
We
all can remember that time. And the thought in my head was, well, I'm in St. George. It's probably smarter to do the last of what I have and get rid of my stuff since I'm in my car. So if I get stopped or something happens, I don't have it on me, right? Because I'm on probation. I can't afford new charges.
And we don't want to do probation the way we're supposed to and just
Yeah.
not use.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, I mean, that's the logical thinking, of course, right?
Well, that's our best thinking at
Yeah,
the time,
right.
unfortunately, being under the influence. Yeah. I'm with you.
So, I go to a public bathroom and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this and layer up and be ready to storm the weather in my car. And woke up, it was probably 5 hours later on the floor, and I couldn't.
In the bathroom still.
Yeah. Couldn't see, couldn't hear, like, just kind of like, oh, great, there's probably cops on the other side of that door. Here I go.
Is that really the first thing you thought?
Yeah.
Man, that's
funny.
crazy.
Funny, isn't it?
I mean, and so I
I just almost killed myself.
Right.
Oh, I bet there's cops on the other side
Yeah.
of the door. Like, you talk about some deep-seated fear.
Deep-seated thinking errors.
yeah,
Well, yeah. Sorry.
I almost died.
yeah.
Hope I don't get arrested.
So, ended up calling a friend, and I said, hey, so there's no way that I can drive. I don't even, I'm lucky that I'm even calling you, can you come down the street? They lived up the street from where I was at, and can, drive my car, because I need to sleep for a couple hours because I'm supposed to be at work, and I got to sleep this off. So, they come and get me, and they're like, and I'm like, well, if there's cops out there, just call my phone, and I'll just come out and know, what time it is, and if not, just knock on the door, and I'll come out, right? So I'm like hiding in the bathroom, like, am I going to jail? Am I going to work tomorrow? And anyways, of course, I was doing IOP at Southwest Behavioral Center, and I needed to go do a UA. Knew I wasn't going to,
Right.
Yep. So I pull
It's hard when you stumble into your UA. That's tough.
So,
Probably don't pass those.
No, I pull my case manager aside, and I'm like, and I break down, and I'm crying, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't working. Her first thing is like, well, you've got to make that call. Your PO needs to know. And I'm like, but I don't want to go to jail.
Time to get honest.
I was honest with you. Isn't that enough, right? Like, don't I get points for that? So then I call my PO, and he's like, okay, well, I'll see you in a couple days. I look back now, I think his logic was, is she going to clean up and be able to pass a UA when she comes in, or is she going to keep using, right? Because that was the first question. I walk in, he's like, you going to pass a UA for me today? Oh, no. Let's go for a walk. So then I'm before the judge, and my lawyer's like, well, I'm going to try to get you treatment,
Was the cancer in remission by this point?
Yes.
Or did you still have active cancer?
So, well, I mean, I was still doing my checkups, right?
Okay.
You'd
had the surgery.
I had the surgery.
treatment.
I had the treatments.
Okay.
And I was, I wasn't completely in remission, because this was, we're looking at 8 months after surgery.
Okay.
And my lawyer's like, no, like, I think let's try to get you treatment. The judge that I had, he's like, he's really in favor of it. I think that's what we need to do for you. So, because this is like my 4th, 5th time with the violation of probation. It's not working.
Yeah, obviously it ain't working.
It's not working.
Right.
And so the judge was like, okay, early release to treatment. I was going to go to steps here in St. George. But I had to have like a real honest conversation with myself, right? Is this going to work, or am I going to do the revolving door? And that's why I chose Annie's.
So because of the location, you wanted to change kind of your playground?
I needed to change my playground. Because of the trauma and all of that, being in St. George, I would have wanted to save my husband. I would have wanted to save my kids. I lost my father-in-law. He passed away, and just the family was a mess.
So you needed to leave the environment that you were sick in to get healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And in an environment there was no distraction.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
So that's what started my journey, Annie's house. And I made a commitment to myself and my kids. My daughter had that conversation with me. I'm 18, Mom. You missed my birthday. You missed everything. and I'm going to pack up and move, and you're not going to know your grandkids or be at my wedding or, you know. And
Was that while you were in treatment you had that conversation?
right before I went to treatment. She's like, well, I'm done living in fear. We're not doing this anymore, and it's not fair that this is what, you know, you've done to me and my brothers. I commend her for the courage that it took to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
You know, my mom heart was destroyed, but it was true. So I went to Annie's house, and I was like, hey, whatever they ask, I'll, you know, all in. And it was hard, right? Actually peeling back, you know, today now, right, with you guys, I can kind of breeze through, like, the trauma. You know, if this would have been 3 years ago, I would have been a mess.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And today, though, it's given me the purpose to where I can reach other people, right? I get to go do service. I get to go be that example. Attraction, you know. My husband found recovery because of it. Like, I have my friend back. He's my best friend. We're not together, but he's my best friend today. I have a relationship with my kids where they want me around. They call me just because. You know, the fact that I work at the Point. How full circle is that?
That's crazy. I'm going to stop you, though, because you're jumping into life in recovery today.
Oh.
And we got to do another sponsorship mention. So one of our other sponsors is Recovery Strong. Recovery Strong is all about fighting addiction, strengthening recovery. If you want to go check out their apparel brand, just go to recoverystrong.com. You can click on, I believe it's under the gear tab. They got some pretty cool t-shirts right now. They're doing a sell. Sean, if you're watching this on the video, Sean's showing the gift card. They're promoting their hoodies and their hats right now as well. So be part of the solution and the stigma. Go to recoverystrong.com, get yourself some apparel. So, how long were you at Annie's?
45 days.
Okay, and then did you do the step-down process?
Yes.
So you followed the recommendations?
Yes.
Nice.
So I did 45 days at Annie's, graduated successfully. I did 30 days of day treatment, graduated. IOP, I didn't graduate IOP. I did about 4.5 weeks. Circumstances with my youngest son, he was going through some mental stuff and really struggling and needed my attention.
But how cool is that you actually were back to being a mom at that point?
And the cooler thing is because I had done the work, right, and I had listened to the recommendation of doing the process, I was able to go to the clinical team and said, this is what's going on. This is what I think is best for me. And they were all, without a doubt, were like, well, you're doing it. Like, we all sign off on this,
right.
You know, like, of course, you know.
You got the nudge from the judge, so you didn't really have, per se, a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Which, honestly, sometimes I think we knock on the criminal justice system, but I think that's a big, you know, when you're externally motivated by, hey, you got to do this, oftentimes it does help. We've talked about that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and I think doing the work, though, too, right? I mean, because I think we see a lot. We see a lot of people where they are able to maintain for that period of time, right? People look at me today, and it's like, how did you get 3 years? Like, I never thought you were going to make it out.
You've been out of treatment how long and you didn't lapse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, you know, you get the nudge from the judge, you listen to their recommendation, but you really have to do the work, right? I mean, you have to really show up.
Yeah, if you're wanting to actually make a change in your life, you've got to do the work.
Yeah.
For sure. You can't just be a butt in a seat.
No.
Right. What's your thoughts, Sellers? Penny, for your thoughts.
Wow. Just still a lot of craziness in life that got her to where she's at today, which is incredible. I hear the desperation of losing kids and losing entire families. Like, she lost her parents and her grandparents, then she lost her kids, and then she was incarcerated, and then she had cancer, and then I can't believe this story, really.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So talk to me about
this is a life that, I mean, how many people are going to turn to drugs after that? Right. Every stinking one?
Right. Yeah.
If they have any access at all, every stinking one.
Yeah. Yeah, a way to cope or deal and
Yeah.
check out.
Yeah.
So in early recovery, You said that you were homeless 4 times. Talk to me about early recovery while you're maybe in day treatment or IOP. What was your first job? What was your living circumstances? How did you piece together the life that you have right now?
So, I'm out of Annie's house, and I am in day treatment. Don't know anybody. I didn't even have an ID at the time. And I had a friend up there that was in recovery, and she opened her home to me. She's like, I don't do this, but I believe in you, and you've done the work, and I believe that you need this helping hand. So I stayed with her, and then she ended up moving to Texas. That's where her husband was working, and it was just too much having 2 households. So then I find myself, okay, I can go to my in-laws. It's not necessarily the best place for me where I'm on probation, right?
Sure, yeah.
They're very supportive. It's just lifestyle things, right?
Your PO shows up. They can't decipher whose alcohol's whose
Yeah.
and who's, for
Yeah,
sure. I pick up what you're
Yeah.
putting down, Amber. Yep.
So, and there was some boundary issues, right? I learned in recovery I needed to have boundaries. And
She
that,
just dropped the big B word, sellers.
She did. I heard
yeah.
it.
The big B word.
And,
boundaries.
I heard it. I don't know what it means, but I heard it.
it's a growing fashion in my life.
I love it, Amber.
It's an accessory that I carry with me these days.
Matches.
And luckily for me, I went to treatment with someone who was working at a sales floor. I have lots of experience in sales, and Steps was in between a sales floor, right? So I'm on my way on tracks to a meeting, and the gentleman's like, hey, I think we're hiring for...
Like the location?
Yeah.
Really?
So like day treatment's on one side, the sales floor is in the middle, and then on the other side was IOP.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey.
So like I could go to day treatment and then walk like next door and
Walk
go
to
to
your
work.
job.
That's a God thing. I'm sorry, but that is, Amber.
No.
That is a God thing. Like that's a higher power thing.
It really is. The people that I met in that, right, that job opened doors, and it started the true belief of my worth. I ended up finding myself homeless while I was working at the company.
Because the lady moved to Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I broke down to one of the owners, and I said, I don't want to go back to jail. Like, I'm doing all the right things, but I don't have an address. Like, that's a violation.
That's a probation violation. Yeah, that's a PV.
And so he went to the owners, and they actually paid for a motel for 10 days so that I could have time to go to my PO, and I was just honest with them, right? Like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to be honest and just say this is the situation. And he's like, okay, It's a lot different, too, up north. Probation up north is a little bit different than probation down here.
Well, it's different. You're not giving dirty UAs.
Yeah, I mean...
that helps, Amber.
Yeah, I mean...
That makes every probation different.
That's maybe a little bit more. All right. I'll give you that, Jared. Okay.
North, south, clean UAs, dirty UAs. Maybe that's the difference.
That's the difference. Yeah. So, the owner actually let me stay at the office. They opened... Yeah. Like... And when he went to me with that, not only did they let me stay at the office, like he went shopping and like stocked the kitchen so I would have food.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, what? You don't even know me.
What the heck?
Right?
Yeah. Guess who does? Guess who does know you?
So I
God,
did not get emotional during all the trauma and the backstory, but that touches my heart.
Yeah.
I might just start shedding tears right now. Like that is cool. Yeah. Not only did he let you give you a place to stay, he went out and bought food. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. Hats off to that guy.
Like,
and hats off to God.
Yeah, that was like
and that guy for doing God's work.
That was my journey of like, oh, like maybe I do matter, right? Like this stranger doesn't even know me, and he's willing to like let me stay in the office with all of this expensive stuff. Out of his own pocket, he's feeding me.
So now you start internalizing the good stuff. What does that tell me about me now?
Yeah. Like maybe my grandma wasn't right,
What?
What does that even look like? What does that feel like? There was a moment where I was like, I got sober for this, right? you know, because it was during the holidays. So I'm like sitting at the office and I'm
Always
like,
the hardest time of
you
year.
know, I'm like, I got sober to be like homeless sitting in an office. What? You know?
That's a beautiful example, though, of perspective, because you can look at that and say, this is what I got sober for. I'm in an office. I don't have a bed.
Yeah.
I don't have a real room of mine. Or you can look at it and say, somebody stocked the fridge for me.
Yeah.
Somebody actually that I don't know let me stay in a place that he owns, and he wound up stocking the fridge for me. And that's all just perspective right there. Both those things are true.
Yeah.
You were in a crappy situation. You didn't even have a place of your own. And you also had somebody willing to buy you food.
The difference is
and
the
shelter.
victim mentality or the victor mentality, right?
Yep.
And the one thing that I took from that, and that's probably the most monumental moment, I think, of what led me on this path of my foundation recovery, is I sat with the feelings, right? I cried and I was upset and you know, all of those.
Yeah, you let it be hard. Let it be hard. Feel it.
But at the end of the day, it was his love for me. Like, a stranger loves me enough to, like, do this for me.
Yeah.
You know? And then that's what started my journey of, like, okay, like, I need to spread hope.
So how long were you doing that, and what did the transition from that look like?
So it's about 3 months.
Really?
Yeah. You know, when you're a felon and you have bad credit, and you know,
It's kind of tough.
it's kind of
Little hard.
Right.
It's a little hard
You don't
for-
walk up and rent any place you want to.
No.
You don't,
You
you
know?
don't walk up and
I'll
apply
take
for
that
every
terrace,
job.
please.
Yeah.
You know,
and I'll
take
take
it.
this job. I want to be the supervisor.
take that house on the hill, like
Right,
you know,
yeah.
swimming pool in the back.
Yep.
No.
That'd be nice.
Doesn't happen that way.
That's
and
how
again,
we want it, though, in our addict minds, right? We
Right.
want everything
Right.
right
I'm
now.
clean now. I'm clean now. I deserve the house.
I
on
got
the
clean
hill.
yesterday. I want my family to love me. I want to have the best job, and I want to have the best house, and I want to drive a Ferrari.
Yeah. And you know, so I just kept doing the next right thing.
I was gonna say, I'm not an addict, but I have those same feelings too.
Okay, maybe it's just a human. Maybe it's just a
Okay.
human thing. Fair enough.
I
Human
want everything
nature.
now. It's like I
Yeah.
paid my taxes. I did this. Where's my pool in the backyard?
Yeah.
It's coming. It's in the mail, Sean.
Yeah, it's gonna snow this week. and I'll have a puddle in the back. That's my
Yeah,
pool.
there you go.
So
It's all perspective, Sean. You asked for a pool. Mother Nature's trying to give you a pool, man.
You didn't say what type of pool. You just said pool.
well, you come
right?
over with your floaties. We can go swimming.
I put
Alright.
I put a little toothpick out there, and you can dive off it.
Yeah, so you know, I just kept doing the next right thing. I kind of got a fire in me to where it was like I was gonna prove my grandma wrong,
Ooh, yeah. I love
right?
it.
Like,
Use oppositional defiance in a
Yeah.
good way.
you know, like
It's there. Might as well use it.
and so I started fueling it different, right? My perspectives changed. How I saw myself changed. So I'm 3 months in, and the same gentleman, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I can't keep living at the office forever. At this point, I have all of my kids living up north. They're at the in-laws, but, like, they don't have a space, right? They don't have, you know, and I'm like, something's got to give. And he ended up putting his name on the line with his realtor, who luckily, well, not luckily, it was a God thing. He had a rental that was coming available in 3 weeks. And I still had to do the work, right? I mean, it wasn't handed to me. I still had to do the interviews, and I had to have letters of, like, from my sponsor and people that I've done service with, and my, you know, that I successfully completed probation and treatment and all these things, right, to show a pattern of change.
Sure.
So I, you know, get the townhouse in Lehigh. All the kids move in, right? It was February, so it was perfect, right? Good way to start the new year. And I just kept doing the next right thing. Service, meetings, sponsorship, like all of it, you know? But I mean, that was the moment. That gentleman showing me love, gave me the sense of, like, I need to spread hope to the person that doesn't have it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure hopefully there's some listeners out there that have gone through or are going through something similar to what you're going through. That's awesome. Should we hear about her job today?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are
So
you doing
you
these
remember
days?
Carol? You remember Carol? I'm going to slaughter this, but Hallowell? Did I say it
Hollowell.
right?
Carol Hollowell.
Yeah, she came
Don't worry
on. She
about
was
it.
a
I've met
guest.
her once and I got it right. But
Right.
I
So
wouldn't worry about it.
she started. Talk to us about the point.
Okay. So I work at the Point now, which is, full circle. Because I was a resident at Switch Point.
But let me slow down real quick. I know we don't have much time. What is the point exactly? What's
So
that?
the Point is an extended stay for vets, disabled, 55 and older. It's somewhere that they can stay if they need a stepping stone. We have case management there.
That we're homeless.
Okay.
Right? So we're providing them their own room.
In Salt Lake City.
Yep, it's in Salt Lake.
Oh, okay.
And we have case managers.
And what's your job?
I'm one of the front desk techs there.
So cool.
Yeah. It's
So cool.
a very fulfilling job. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's because you're offering to someone something that was offered to you at one point.
Yeah.
That's full circle.
The
and
thing
that's
I love
kinda
about
what this
it
is all about.
is about a year ago, Amber came down and we went to lunch. You remember?
Yeah.
At the what's that Indian food place? Red Fort. We
Yeah.
went to lunch at Red Fort, and she was not having a whole lot of passion in her job, and that's cool. It's cool to see that you actually get in the lane of giving back and
See, I took
helping.
the suggestions. I'm good at taking suggestions. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer, right? I mean, it's just human nature.
Sure.
But, I took the suggestion and, here I am today, loving my life.
Beautiful. Okay, we're about out of time. I want to thank Amber for coming on today. That's a beautiful story.
Thanks for having me.
And I
It was
hope
fun.
everybody can learn something from that. Just put one foot in front of the other and keep doing the next right thing.
Yes.
Hey, welcome, Amber. Thanks, Amber, and we'll see you next week, guys.
Thank you for joining us today on We Do Recover with Jared Miller.
Help us spread our message of hope. Like, comment, and share.
If you have any topics or ideas for future shows, please share that on our Facebook page.
That Facebook page is We Do Recover with Jared Miller. If you or a loved one needs help, please reach out to us. Again, thank you for listening.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn. This has been a production from a podcast studio.